In my video last week where I talked about the hilarious moments involving the Knights of the Round Table, I mentioned how Gareth the Beautiful Hand once went shopping at the Summer Fest. While she was there, she came across a BL doujinshi featuring Sir Kay and King Pellinore as a couple. At first, Gareth was furious. She straight up called it repugnant. But while still fuming, she immediately bought the doujin to add to her collection. No one expected someone as young and innocent looking as Gareth to have a whole stash of doujins covering a wide range of questionable genres. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. There are several characters in FGO who have that good boys and girls vibe. You know, like MASH, polite, honest, and always well-mannered. That's the classic good boy or good girl type. Then there are people like Merlin who just do whatever they want. In this video, we're gonna focus on the former. Basically, we're talking about those who seem innocent and pure-hearted, but end up showing their more human side. And by that, I mean the pervy stuff, because at the end of the day, they're still people. And sometimes, they're into some pretty spicy things. So here it is. The surprisingly sus moments from FGO characters who seem like they'd never have a single pervy thought. Well, this might shatter the perfect image you have of some of your favorite characters. But a little spicy content every now and then doesn't hurt. Here we go. Sanson is easily one of the most somber and gloomy characters in FGO. With his background as an executioner, he's taken countless lives, and those memories clearly weigh on him. But then there's the Moon Festival event. You know, the dumpling one, where Marie, Sanson, and Dion are just chilling and eating dumplings together. Since Marie's munching down way more than anyone else, Sanson, being the medically conscious guy he is, gets worried and tells her not to overeat since it could be bad for her health. And then, Marie, completely unbothered, drops this line. "Really, you don't have to worry, Sanson. Everything I eat goes right to my breasts. The more I eat, the bustier I get. So there's no way I'll get fat." Hearing this, Sanson, who's usually super serious and always curious about medical stuff, instantly starts panicking, but not in a bad way. He looks genuinely excited. Well, actually, it's hard to tell if Sanson's freaking out because Marie just said something absolutely insane. Or because, deep down, he's genuinely wondering if there's a scientific explanation for how boob-based nutrient allocation works. What's wild is that Sanson almost never shows any strong emotions. He's usually calm, quiet, and brooding. But the moment Marie starts talking about how every meal's nutrients go straight to her boob storage, the man short-circuits like he just discovered a forbidden branch of medical science. Next up, we've got Fergus, but not the usual Fergus. I'm not talking about the older Fergus who's always going on about women and, well, other adult stuff. That's just how he is. What I'm talking about is young Fergus, the one who's still got solid morals, doesn't flirt around, and isn't constantly thinking about those things. But there's one person who manages to throw young Fergus off his game. Astolfo. And yeah, Astolfo's not even a girl. He just dresses like one. But somehow, that's enough to shake Fergus a bit. You can really see it when there's this scene where Astolfo struggles to squeeze through a hole. While Astolfo's trying to push his way through, Fergus just stares for a while. And yeah, he's blushing. I mean, Astolfo is cute and all, so it sounds innocent enough at first, until Astolfo straight up guesses what Fergus is thinking. He jokes that Fergus is probably imagining himself behind Astolfo, helping push him through by, well, shoving his butt. Fergus, of course, denies it immediately, but then it happens again. Later on, when Astolfo changes into his sailor outfit without bothering to cover himself, Fergus just freezes again, staring at Astolfo's backside while blushing. Honestly though, can you blame him? It's Astolfo. Even Fujimaru doesn't know how to react when Astolfo starts changing right in front of everyone. The game literally gives you two options. 1. Don't let that stop you. 2. Fujimaru giving him puppy eyes, basically begging him not to stop. And all the while, poor Dion is in the background, reminding Astolfo again and again that maybe he should show a little modesty. We talked about the younger ones, now let's move on to the older guys. Let's talk about Muramasa. Yeah, he's an old man, but he's stuck in the body of a healthy young adult. So don't be too surprised when this grumpy grandpa accidentally lets his human desires slip out during the Shimosa chapter. There's this one moment where Fujimaru and Musashi end up staying at an adult inn. If you've seen Demon Slayer Season 2, where Tanjiro and the gang go undercover in the red light district, it's kinda like that. Fujimaru and Musashi have to stay there while looking after Onui and Tasuke. After everything's said and done, Muramasa shows up, furious. He apparently searched the whole way from the village to the city trying to find them. When he finally does, he starts scolding Fujimaru and Musashi, smacking them on the head for staying in a geisha's room, and not just that, but for leaving Onui and Tasuke in the care of the geishas too. But then Muramasa slips up. In the middle of his rant, he blurts out that they should have invited him too, because he wouldn't mind having a little fun with the ladies' services every once in a while. That's a huge slip-up. Next up, we've got a saint, because surely a saint would never have dirty thoughts, right? Well, not if we're talking about this saint, Martha. This woman sometimes concludes everything in sexual terms, and it's funny to see. During the Moon Goddess event, Martha, Kojiro, and Georgios got into an all-out brawl with Mash and Fujimaru after being accused of stealing dumplings. Like everyone else in that event, they ate way too many dumplings, until Mash showed up. And Mash came prepared with ropes, ready to tie Martha up. Well, not just Martha, it's all of them, but Martha is the one we're talking about here. You see, the moment she heard that she was about to be tied up with ropes, Martha started blushing and stuttering at the thought of being completely bound up, full-body style. To be fair, the whole thing was based on an old Japanese idiom about restraining criminals. But let's be real, if you're blushing at the thought of being tied up, you're definitely thinking about some kinky stuff. And that's not even the worst part. During the Chaldea Summer Memory event, Martha's mind goes straight to the gutter again. When Chulainn and Skaha casually mention going a round or two, clearly referring to sparring, Martha somehow assumes they're talking about the S word and won't stop at just one round. Then Kojiro comments that Martha seems worked up and assumes she wants to go at it too. Again, just about fighting. But by that point, Martha's brain is already in full summer mode and thinking about how Kojiro is about to do S word with her. So basically Martha seems to think that once summer hits and everyone's in swimsuits, the next logical step is some kind of S-word party. Martha, are you sure you're a saint? Alright, next up, a Hassan. Yes, one of the Hassan. Be honest, you wouldn't expect a Hassan to have a pervy moment, right? I mean, with their strong religious beliefs, strict discipline, and tight brotherhood, you'd think they'd be above that sort of thing. But not really. You see, Cursed Arm Hassan might having a little fun in his second life, and it seems like he's using his presence concealment skill for less than noble reasons. Let me pull up this craft essence, Chaldea Lifesavers. Take a good look. Do you notice anything suspicious? Feel free to pause and search for it yourself, but I'll just tell you. Turns out, Cursed Arm Hassan is using his presence concealment to sneakily watch Nightingale, who's in a swimsuit, while she's working in the water. The man is camouflaged in the waves, happily eyeing her underboob without anyone noticing. Honestly, I didn't even catch it at first. But after some info from friends and a bit of research, I can finally see him. If you guys spotted it right away, props to you. You've got a sharp eye. Alright, next up, Xiang Yu, the mechanical horse husband. Even though he doesn't have a typical human body, this guy is insanely passionate about his beloved Yume Ren. And yes, he does have his own covert pervy moment. The thing is, it's so low-key it almost flies under the radar. During the Chaldea summer camp event, there's this scene where the two split-off versions of Yume Ren meet. One of them starts complaining, saying Xiang Yu would probably be heartbroken that there are now two of her. But then Amiya just mutters something like, "Yeah, something tells me Xiang Yu wouldn't mind that at all." Now this seems like it is just pure male instinct, so the truth depends on each individual. But the thing is, Emiya used to have clairvoyance, and now it's upgraded to Hawkeye. So honestly, it's pretty much confirmed that, yeah, Xiang Yu would absolutely enjoy having two versions of his lover. But hey, can you even call it being a pervert if it's just your wife? Even if there are two of her. Personally, I'd be over the moon if there were 2 or 3 versions of my loved one. That's double or triple the love, right? I'm saving this one for last. But let's talk about the Chaldea crew members who seem all innocent, but actually have their pervy moments too. Starting with Dr. Roman. Considering how this man lived for 10 years and ended up in Chaldea, you wouldn't expect him to be that much of a pervert. But then again, this guy was straight up simping for Majimari. Still, because of his chill, cheerful personality, you'd never suspect it. First up, in the anthology manga, when Orion suggests peeping on the girls in the hot springs, Roman is way too quick to agree. At first, he just casually supports the idea from behind his usual screen. But then, when Fujimaru gets yeeted into the women's bath by the bros, Roman and Orion start protesting, because they want in on the action too. That's when everyone realizes. This man was already peeping the whole time through his hologram screen. Of course, he immediately gets his ass handed to him. Then, in the first Halloween event, he tries to record Matahari stripping. Kiyohime obviously is not having it, because Fujimaru was there too and starts raging, which leads to a fight. Meanwhile, Roman just silently turns off his recording while clicking his tongue in disappointment. Oh, and in Septum, when he starts talking about Majimari, Mash immediately calls him out and tells him to focus on work. Because apparently she found his secret folder and straight up blackmails him by threatening to delete it. Looking back, after everything we learned about him in the finale, it kinda makes sense. He might have inherited that trait from his father. Still talking about the Chaldea crew, let's not forget Meuniere. Now this guy doesn't exactly look innocent. His actions and even his room make it pretty obvious that he's a man of culture. Dude's got a ton of action figures and posters of heroic spirits all over the place. And let's be real, his enthusiasm for Astolfo and Dion speaks for itself. So just count this as a bonus. But the moment I really want to highlight is from the Oni Pagoda event, that one chapter with the hot springs. Since this features baths, it means a lot of characters would technically be naked. So, to keep things safe, Da Vinci implemented a hack that makes everyone still appear clothed on screen, even though they're actually completely naked in the bath. Upon hearing this, Meuniere instantly breaks down in tears, and I mean full-on sobbing. Apparently, his crying was so intense that Da Vinci had to tell him to calm down because she didn't want his flood of tears to short-circuit the systems. Well, I guess that's about it. What do you guys think? Click subscribe and see you guys next time.